Mark Haney with us. Hi, Mark.
How you doing?
Good. First of all, you get to see I actually do read emails that are printed out like that.
This is great. It's funnier here in the studio. It's very funny out there, but oh man, this is hilarious.
I was mentioning yesterday, you and I met, I don't know, about a year ago, and we've been looking for the right opportunity, the right time, and now seems better than ever to have some conversations with you. One of the things we are getting inundated with are people's fears, money, finances, and let's start with, for the people that don't know, why you matter and who you are. What is your background when it comes to all this stuff?
Well, thank you for saying that I matter. I grew up here in the Sacramento region, and I have something called HaneyBiz. We back hometown entrepreneurs. We provide access to capital, expertise in a community, and I think now more than ever, we don't want to be alone. You see that with your community. I know they're rallying around you, and I think that's happening in the entrepreneurial community as well.
How did you get your money?
Well, it's hard work, a little bit of luck, but mostly putting myself around great people. And we built some businesses around security and had a couple of exits several years ago, and then since then I've been investing.
So did you grow up all rich, and that's where you had a ton of money to create?
Well,
these
my
businesses?
newspaper route, my first exit was a newspaper route. I actually auctioned off the Sacramento Union, and I had a nice payday. It was pretty good. So that was my first big win.
This is back in the age of where that was my first job, was being a paper boy, and people don't even remember that kids were allowed to ride their bikes at 12, 13, 14 years old and throw newspapers.
Yes.
And I forgot about the Sacramento Union.
We actually took market share from the Bee. They were our big competitor. We eventually got spanked.
Now, this will alienate you to half the audience and endear you to the other half. You're also a huge 49ers fan.
Yes, I am.
Just something you and I share, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be invited on the show. But as you said, you grew up in the area, and you got brothers. You're a big family guy. You're very annoying with the family thing.
I know that you're not a big kid guy, but I have 2 children that are grown, 3 grandchildren. My brothers and sisters are all over the place.
You're a grandpa?
I am a grandpa.
How old are you? You don't look over 40-ish.
I appreciate that, Rob, but I'm feeling it these days.
I bet. Well, a lot of people are. So what? Let's just start with the general. What can you offer? What do you see going on? Because we've been talking on the show about we can sit here all day and debate how we got here and whether or not the country has reacted correctly. What now the debate is the devastation of the economy versus the devastation of human lives. I don't know how you ever balance that, but either way, do you agree, whatever this looks like whenever it's over, it's going to be bad. It's already bad. It's going to be bad economically, and what should people be thinking, doing, and focusing on?
Yeah, I do think that it will be quite challenging. It's very challenging now, but I do think that we're going to come out on the other side stronger in some way. I think America and Sacramento entrepreneurs, they have that perseverance in their heart, and so I think they will come out stronger. But what should they be doing now? I think now's the time to really be developing a plan for how to come out stronger, how to develop a plan that puts you back in attack mode. A lot of people are on their heels right now, but not all. And I know some of your advertisers, they're in attack mode now. They've decided to attack from a different direction. And so I think that's really the mentality that we have to have right now, is how am I going to attack from a different direction? Sometimes that means allocating resources differently, being more creative, and remembering why we started these businesses in the first place.
So, how would you advise somebody who is, let's say, before this happened, they were already they were on the edge as a business. They're not getting paid. We try to kind of dumb it down a lot because a lot of people don't understand that just because you have a store in a strip mall doesn't mean you're rich. So let's start with this type of business. They just launched 3, 6, 9 months ago. We've gotten emails like this. They were barely up and running, and now for whatever reason, they're not essential. People don't want to utilize them. They're not even getting any revenue, and they're sitting here going, "Yeah, that all sounds great, Mark. I can't even pay rent, and my employees, I don't even know if I'm gonna have them." You're coming in with this positive think ahead thing. How would you even get them started?
Right now, I think it's time to step back and decide where you want to be down the road. And I think the government has come out with some programs that really we've never seen anything like this before. So there's something called the PPP, right? The Payroll Protection Program, and it sounds
that one we'll remember.
Yeah, and it really is something that's going to help buy a little bit of time for you and your employees. So if you apply for the loan and comes in 3 weeks, so you got to survive it several weeks here, but it gets you a couple months of runway to pay your employees if you've got employees.
So my understanding on the PPP is this is the one, because there's different plans they got out, but this is the one for small businesses in particular. 8 weeks of they look at your employee salaries. If you're paying your employees $100,000 or more, they don't cover that. But everybody
nothing above $100,000.
No,
right.
nothing. But most people have whatever employees you do have under $100,000 plus rent. Help, I think it's up to 25%, utilities, things like that. And my understanding is you apply through any local bank or credit union that is already involved with SBA loans. Most of us that are small businesses have SBA loans, so you can just go to your banker. I keep checking the website every day because I think every business owner should be taking advantage of whatever help is being offered. And what we remind people is if you do get a PPP loan and you don't lay anyone off, it's not a loan. It's a grant. You don't pay it back.
It's a grant.
So
it's free money. You have to do this right now, whether you have any employees or not. It's for sole proprietors. Mm-hmm. It's for anybody that has a business. You look back 12 months, add up the wages or the income that you've had for yourself if you're a sole proprietor, and then you take you get 2.5 months worth and apply for that to give you a little bit of time.
I make the point on the air a lot of times that a lot of small business owners, they don't even have like regular attorneys, accountants, and I think there's a lot of them that are overwhelmed. Are there certain professionals, not by name, but I mean category, that you would be telling people to contact if they're sitting there going, I'm already overwhelmed, Mark, I don't know what to do?
Yeah, I think you should call me or get a hold of somebody. I actually do. I have something called HaneyBiz. We're invested into a number of companies, but our parent company, HaneyBiz, we have CPAs on staff. So I think in this time, you want to be talking to somebody who understands that. So we are assisting people in getting these loans now. And we also have a program where we're helping put together a plan. So you can, follow me and I'll help you out.
So you guys at HaneyBiz under your, and I've been there, and it's this giant building with all sorts of different umbrellas. Over here are the accountants. Over here are the movie directors.
That's amazing. Oh wow.
You're actually helping facilitate get some of this financial assistance.
Yes.
Okay,
that's
good to
great.
know.
Yes, it's something we do. I have a number of CPAs on my team because we're investors and our companies are all different sizes. So we do it for our internal companies, but we also do it for the public as well, for the general public.
Might be getting a text from me after.
Yeah, we can help you out, Rob. No problem.
You're like a one-stop shop.
We are kind of. And if we don't have the answers, we have banking relationships as well so that we can get you plugged in where you can get these loans. So we can help give you the advice, and then we can kind of help you get you plugged in too. So
I just think so many people that are business owners have felt a lot of relief right now, knowing that this is available.
My concern with the business owners, and one of the reasons I think it's so great that you're on, Mark, is I have heard anecdotally and just also directly, there are so many small business owners locally throughout Northern California, Northern Nevada and such, that simply are either overwhelmed, I keep using that word, or unaware that this is out there. I was talking to a friend of a friend who was talking to a business owner, and they're like, I literally had to explain to him. And this is a guy who's cut his staff. This help is there. And it's not even a pride thing like, I don't want to take it. They just
didn't know.
They just didn't know. And so I think it's so helpful to get this message out. And you were talking earlier, and you've always been this way, and I think it's indicative of the last 5 or so years in this area in particular. I know you're a lifelong Sacramento guy, but you and I have talked about this. Before this coronavirus happened, Sacramento was booming in terms of small business and what they were doing with the renovation in Midtown and things like that. And obviously, the American economy was doing pretty well as well. And the hope, and what President Trump has said, is there'll be pent-up demand, and when this is over, we'll come thriving back. I don't know how quickly that's going to happen, but Sacramento seems like it was so poised to be doing so well. And you sound confident, but how are we going to just reignite that fire after 3-4 months of being closed?
Well, my motto is put your money where your town is. So not only shop local, but invest local. So we're going to need that. We're going to need investment into our town. I believe that's still going to happen. The MLS team is still, the Republic is still going to become an MLS franchise. There's a lot of money going in down at the rail yards. So that is still going to happen. We may
That's
see a
soccer, Dawn.
set. Yeah. Soccer. We may see a setback, but I believe that is going to happen. Aggie Square is still on the docket, so the commitments are still there. We're going to have a little hiccup here, but we're going to come out of it on the other end stronger. And it's going to be entrepreneurs doing this. It's going to be the business people rallying to make that happen. And I think in many ways we're in a stronger position with our relationship to the Bay Area, our proximity. I think this is going to cause a change in behavior. People are going to want to move to places like Roseville and Rockland and El Dorado Hills and maybe even the suburbs of Sacramento. Not only is this a more affordable place to live, but they're going to want just a little bit of room to roam, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
What is your advice or words for a lot of small business owners are feeling a lot of guilt because they can't pay their employees or they've already laid them off? Or I've talked to so many of them that are racked with that personal relationship. And obviously, we all have to look out for ourselves, but they are so troubled by employees losing money and having to go to unemployment. Where's that morality balance, in your opinion, for those of us that people count on us, but we can only do so much? How do we weigh that?
I think it's very tough, and I think we really have to look within ourselves at these times to think about what kind of leader we are. And I think the people who are going to come out on the other end are going to be those leaders that are empathetic, that care about their people. And if we can communicate that in a way that shows we love our teammates, then I think they understand. Because you and I have built businesses, and we didn't build them alone. We had people helping us, and those are like family to us. And so I think it's the same way we talk to our family when it's not going so well financially, and we're going to have to cut back a little bit. We have to bring our teammates together to sort of rally together, knowing that we have to keep the company alive. Or none of us are going to have jobs even in the future.
And that takes us to the General Motors model, which it's a little harder when you're that big. But they've announced these across the board 20% cuts in salary. So when you're a small business, whether it's 5 employees or 500, that's still small. Your advice would be get the group together, tell them the reality, and say, look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so you clean this up for me. In order for all of us to survive, we're going to have to take cuts commensurate. Okay, I'm the big guy, and I'm going to take the biggest cut, and you're all going to have to take a little bit of a haircut, and I hope we're going to pay you back on the other side. Things like that for small businesses.
You bet. I think that's a great way to approach things. I think it's a time when we're really stepping back, looking at the big picture, and bringing in the leadership team or the entire team to help drive some of the thinking. And I think it is a time where maybe it's interesting how we become a little bit more creative when times get a little bit tougher. So I think that's happening for small businesses all over Sacramento, all over the country, is we're becoming a little bit more creative on how to win. And sometimes that means sucking it up a little bit on how much income we're taking, but coming out, maybe figuring out a way to attack harder and work harder and rally, and we are going to become a stronger team afterwards. I saw that in 2008 in many cases. So my companies weathered the storm in 2008, and that happened for us, and we came out stronger on the other side of that recession.
Yeah, one of my girlfriends that owns a business, she went through that, just the heartbreak of the reality of the situation, and she did have the conversation. And I think what ended up making her feel, you don't feel good about it, but just at ease a little bit more, was that she's like, I need this to be here, so I still have a place to employ people. So it kind of helped her feel a little bit better about having to maybe lay off a few people or cut some of the costs in areas with someone's salaries, because it's kind of like, I still want to I want to survive all of this, so I can still employ people. So it helped her feel a little bit better.
And if you go back to the PPP, you're eligible if you laid people off and you bring them back. under the loan,
Nice.
and you can, which will be a grant. You can go to the SBA and go, look, I've already gotten rid of them, but if you give me money for 8 weeks, I can pay them, and as long as you keep them, again, you don't have to pay the money back. So phone number is 888-989-9811, and we're gonna get all sorts of questions for you, Mark, because when somebody hears somebody that's intelligent about money, they start asking every category you can imagine. Believe me, I know.
This is awkward here. Let me see if I can do it.
So I will tell you, you always have the
that's
out
great.
that I use on the air. You say, that's not an area I'm good at. I don't offer that type of advice, things like that. But you answer whatever you want with these various things. We got a lot of emails here for you. rad@radradio.com. This one's from Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Says, I have a question about the options for loans for small businesses, specifically for those that just opened, so we don't have the history to provide the banks. For instance, I opened my business in February. Luckily, I had only moved down to part-time with my other job, so I'm not suffering like others, but is there help for someone like me too?
Great question. I would advise you to talk to our people at HaneyBiz, the CPAs. I don't want to profess to be an expert on these programs. We typically, right now, these programs are, the questions like this are coming up right now. That's not even available till tomorrow.
Right.
So the application just came out. My team is becoming expert as we speak, as we work with the banks to solve some of these questions. That one I haven't had yet, so I don't know.
Now, when you answer every time, when it's applicable, call my team at HaneyBiz, the first thing they're going to be like, what's that going to cost me? I'm already, I mean, how are you handling things like that?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm setting up something I call Hanging with Haney, right? I've been doing these group, it's free. It's like come in, get on a chat with Mark Haney. We get on a Zoom call now. It used to be face-to-face up in my office, but we're setting them up so that we can do these Zoom calls. And it's a two-part thing where first half is like, how do we address these problems today? And then second half is sort of commiserating. Like sometimes it helps when we can talk to other people who are in the same boat. So I want to provide that format so that small business people can talk to one another. So those are getting scheduled as we speak. And so yeah, there's all kinds of ways to approach this depending on how much help you need. Right? If you want to come on to Hanging with Haney and pick my brain, no problem. And I'll bring on my experts to help answer those questions for free. If you need special one-on-one help, I'm sure we have something that's a loan assist program that we're working with banks on, depending on how much help you actually need.
Your energy is so inspiring.
Some
people need us to really
amazing.
redo their entire books, and that might take us 48 hours, and so we have to try to get by, and we charge something for that.
By the way, he's like this all the time.
I love it.
Now,
great.
Now there's another moral question, though, that some people have had. Short of, say, like grocery stores, which are literally providing essentials, other small businesses are also sitting there going, how do I justify making profit in this time? How do I some people are guilty, they just have jobs. And you and I both were providing services, and we're trying to find creative ways to cater to our various clients and things. But at some point, it's like, man, there's a moral issue here. We're making money while so many people are losing their jobs. How do you guide them on that?
Yeah, I don't think any of us should have guilt about making money. I do think what you do with that money, it describes that shows who you are deep down inside. There are funds that are set up around town to help others in need. So if you are making money and you want to help support some of those causes right here in our hometown, I think that's a good use of your money, and I think we'll all respect that in the long haul. I think really right now, this is where we discover who the leaders of Sacramento really are, is who is really giving right now, and their generosity right now will be remembered for a long time.
Here's a question from Melinda.
Hi, Melinda.
Says, are there any exclusions on types of business for the PPP? Her example is daycare.
No exclusion for daycare. It's you do have to prove that were affected by this virus, that your business was affected by this virus. But I can easily see how a daycare center could be put on hold. So that would qualify.
Do you have any idea and I know we're all trying to become experts, and you got a whole team working on this, how the level to which you have to prove you were affected? And what about people who are projecting, like, well, I haven't been affected in March, but I'm about to be as we've shut down for April? I mean, is it bank statements? Is it just you just declare it with your signature?
The application that I've seen is just declaring it with a signature, and so it's minimal. I think it's going somewhat on the honor code, if you will. But the government has, for once, has decided we are going to do this fast. And so we know that there will be hiccups. We haven't discovered what they are yet, but they've committed to streamline this process.
And they're gonna come back after that 8 weeks, and they're gonna ask for. My understanding is, and this could all change. 2 months is forever. They're basically gonna ask for proof that you've kept those employees, and they might want to see a rent check because that's what they've been helping with. And other than that, I think they're just like, flood the system with money and get us all spending again.
Yes.